6 straight losses, a star quarterback on the bench, an elite receiver missing for 2 months. And now, hours before the most important matchup of the season, everything is about to change. While Washington activates 2 key pieces that could rewrite the fate of this campaign, but there is one cut that nobody saw coming. If you miss the next few minutes, you are going to regret it. The Commanders' #1 receiver practiced fully this Thursday for the first time since he injured his quad in Week 8 against Kansas City, and he is not coming alone. Noah Brown, out since Week 2 with a groin injury, also completed his first full practice without restrictions. Washington has 90 minutes before Sunday night kickoff to officially confirm their return, but all signs point to both being on the field against Denver. McLaurin is not just he is the soul of Washington. In the 4 games he played this season before getting injured, he hauled in 13 receptions for 203 yards and 1 touchdown. 54 yards and a touchdown before his quad said enough. Since that moment, the Commanders' offense collapsed. Without their most reliable weapon, Cliff Kingsbury had to improvise with receivers who were not ready to assume that role. Everything changes. His ability to win one-on-one on deep routes. Who defends that side for Denver? Riley Moss, the most penalized cornerback in the league this season. Moss has been attacked over and over by elite receivers. And McLaurin, before getting injured in Week 2, something that has been limited during his absence. The timing of the command. But that tape does not include Terry McLaurin destroying coverages. And at home against Denver, Washington has a record of 4 wins and 2 losses. The numbers are there. The history is there. Now it just remains for McLaurin and Brown to do what they do best, win. But there is one factor we cannot ignore: health. McLaurin practiced fully, yes, but coming back after 8 weeks of inactivity is not easy. The quad is a tricky injury. He cannot overload McLaurin in the first game back. He needs to rotate him, give him strategic breaks, and make sure he is fresh for the key moments of the game. And then there's the Jaden Daniels. The rookie quarterback remains out with a dislocated elbow, which means Marcus Mariota will be the starter. Mariota has experience, but he does not have the same chemistry with McLaurin that Daniels was developing before the injury. The first drives on Sunday will be crucial for Mariota and McLaurin to find their rhythm. If they manage to connect early, Washington has a real chance to surprise Denver in primetime. The return of McLaurin and Brown is not just good news. It is a turning point. Washington has been playing with their hands tied for 6 weeks. Now, finally, they have their weapons back. The question is no longer if they can compete against Denver. The question is if they are ready to prove that this losing streak was just a bad dream. Do you think McLaurin can change the game against Denver? Or is it too late to save the season? Leave us your comment below. Sean Payton is not one to give away information. But this week, the Broncos head coach dropped a statement that has everyone talking. When asked how he was preparing to face the Commanders without Jaden Daniels, Payton was direct. We prepare for the system, not for the quarterback. In other words, let us break this down. Payton is right about one thing. Cliff Kingsbury's system does not change drastically with Mariota under center. The screens are still there. The running game remains a priority. Extend plays with his legs and make quick decisions under pressure is what made Washington's offense unpredictable. Mariota, no matter how much experience he has, does not have that same level of dynamism. Mariota is a conservative quarterback. And when he decides to run, he is more decisive than Daniels, but also less explosive. Daniels can turn an impossible 3rd down into a 1st down with a 15-yard run. Mariota can gain 5 or 6 yards, but he rarely breaks tackles like Daniels. There are 2 possibilities. The first is that he is trying to deflate the narrative that Washington is at a disadvantage without their starting quarterback. If the Broncos lose this game, Payton does not want the excuse to be, well, they did not have Daniels. He wants everyone, not just one player. It is his comfort zone. Mariota, on the other hand, distributes the ball more evenly, but Payton is not worried about that. He is focused on stopping the running game and forcing Mariota to win the game with his arm, and that is where things get interesting. Mariota will have to throw more than he would like. And when Mariota throws a lot, He makes mistakes. Denver knows this. Their defense is designed to pressure veteran quarterbacks and force them to make quick decisions. With Jaden Daniels, that strategy will be risky because Daniels can escape pressure and turn broken plays into big gains. With Mariota, it is much safer. The veteran quarterback has played in high-pressure situations before. He knows how to handle aggressive defenses. And with McLaurin and Brown back, Mariota has weapons he did not have in recent weeks. The Commanders have lost 6 consecutive games. The fan base is frustrated. The players are desperate for a win. This is the type of situation where teams play with their heart, not just their head. If Washington comes out with energy and executes their game plan perfectly, Denver could be in trouble. But Payton is not worried. He believes his defense can handle anything Washington throws at them, and maybe he is right. But if there is one thing we have learned this season, it is that underestimating a desperate team is a recipe for disaster. The Commanders have nothing to lose. Denver, on the other hand, is playing to maintain their division lead. The pressure is on the Broncos, and that, folks, is what makes this game so dangerous for Denver. Payton can say whatever he wants about preparing for the system. But if Mariota has a solid day, if McLaurin dominates Riley Moss, and if Washington's defense manages to slow down Denver's offense even a little bit, this game could end very differently than Payton expects. And now, the news nobody saw coming. The Commanders released receiver Robbie Chosen on Friday, according to John Keane. Chosen, 32 years old, played only one game with Washington this season, hauling in 4 receptions for 36 yards. His departure is not surprising considering his lack of impact. Roster space is limited, and the Commanders clearly decided they preferred to have more flexibility at other positions, rather than keep a receiver who was not contributing significantly. $20 million deal with the Panthers in 2020 to reunite with his college head coach, Matt Rule. In 2021, Carolina gave him a 2-year, $29.5 million extension, but then traded him to the Cardinals and finally landed in Washington this year. But at 32 years old, Chosen is no longer the receiver he used to be. His speed has declined, his ability to separate from defenders is limited, and his contribution on special teams is not enough to justify. For the Commanders, this decision makes sense. Washington has enough depth at the receiver position. But there is a deeper aspect here. The release of Chosen is a signal that Washington is trying to optimize their roster for the final stretch of the season. Every decision counts when you are on a 6-game losing streak, and that is exactly what they are doing. By releasing Chosen, Washington is sending a clear message. There is no room for passengers on this team. If you are not contributing, you are gone. The Commanders are in survival mode, and every player on the roster has to earn their spot. For Chosen, this could be the end of his NFL career. Or maybe this really is his last stop. Either way, his time in Washington is over. And for the Commanders, it is time to move forward. Washington has more important things to worry about than a veteran receiver who never managed to find his place on the team. So there you have it. Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown are back. Sean Payton is downplaying Jaden Daniels' absence, and Robbie Chosen is no longer part of the team. This Sunday night, the Commanders have the opportunity to break their 6-game losing streak. But with their weapons back and a solid game plan, Washington has a real chance. The question is, are they ready to take advantage of it? Because if they do not, this season could end up being a total disaster. But if they manage to surprise Denver in prime time, everything could change. Subscribe if you want to be the first to know the latest news firsthand before anyone else.